Estamos começando mais uma Wikimetal Happy Hour com um convidado mais do que especial do outro lado do planeta, não exatamente do outro lado, mas na metade do planeta, eu diria, um convidado falando diretamente da África do Sul, Johni Holiday, da banda Ruff Majik. How are you, Johni?
I'm good, and you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for your time. It's great to have you on the show. What time is it over there?
It's midnight right now, or at least it's 3 minutes past midnight.
I'm sorry to keep you awake that late. Where are you talking from? In which city are you at now?
At the moment, I'm in Johannesburg. I just actually moved into a new place today. So yeah, we just basically got here and started setting everything up. So the house is still a mess. I could turn the screen around and show you, but you don't want to see. It's crazy.
No, don't worry. But the internet is working. That's very important.
Luckily, yeah. I was a bit worried there for a second, but it's fine now.
Tô falando com o Johni Holiday, guitarrista, vocalista do Ruff Majik, uma banda muito legal da África do Sul. Perguntei onde ele está falando. Ele está falando de Johannesburg. E agora já acabou de passar da meia-noite. Ele falou que tá um pouco bagunça onde ele tá, porque ele acabou de se mudar de casa, foi hoje a mudança. So you moved places today. I suppose you're really tired. Whenever we move to a different house, it's like a very busy day. You must be really tired.
Yeah, it's actually it's not so bad, but it was a lot of work because I moved into an apartment above the studio where we record our music. So it was a lot of stairs, and carrying everything up the stairs, that gets a bit tiring. But it's not so bad. Had a couple of beers, feeling good.
That's good. But you're originally from a different place in South Africa, right? What's the name of the city you're originally from?
Well, so I grew up in a small town. It's called Lydenburg, which is an Afrikaans name. That's my mother language, which means town of suffering, which is, it really is the town of suffering. And then when I finished school, I moved to Pretoria, which is the capital city of South Africa. And that's where I was living for most of my life. But yeah, now I've moved to Joburg. But they're really close to each other, almost the same city.
Is it where the band was formed, where you met your bandmates in Pretoria?
No, actually, that's from Lydenburg. When we were growing up, the initial members came from there. We all went to the same school together. And then when we moved over to Pretoria, we met the other guys. And now it's a bigger band.
And what year was that when you first formed the band?
Well, when it first became Ruff Majik was probably in 2013, but we didn't do any shows or anything. We only released music in 2015 and started playing shows. But before that, we had a bunch of other bands, but nothing you would know. It's just like we were young punks, basically.
É Lindenburg. Eu estava falando com ele. Ele é original de uma cidadezinha chamada Lindenburg, que significa cidade do sofrimento em africano, que é a língua original dele. E a banda foi formada lá com os amigos de escola. Eles se formaram em 2013, mas só começaram a fazer shows e gravaram o primeiro disco chamado The Bear em 2015. And you guys, I mean, I love the music, and you guys, it's really, in my opinion, it's kind of unfair to limit or to label a band as a stoner band, but it's easier to maybe identify the kind of music you do. Do you like the term stoner?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. People are going to call it that anyway, even if it's not that vibe. I guess it's stoner in the sense that we like to get stoned, but I don't know if it really matters for the music that much.
And also because your music changed a lot from the first albums to what you're releasing now. You're just about to release the fifth album of the band, Devil's Cattle, which will be released on the 30th of October. You already released 3 singles of that album, and it sounds pretty different from the previous albums. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do the same kind of music all your life just because you're well, you like to get stoned or
Yeah.
something, right?
Exactly.
I mean, maybe the
Yeah.
songs are maybe slower and longer, but that's the only thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like the only reason the music has changed is because we're better musicians now. Like I know how to play the guitar, so you know the songs are getting better, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to have a really long, slow jam if you're a bit stoned, maybe. But other times, you know, you just want to play a different kind of song.
You can play it fast too. And you guys started as a trio, if I'm not mistaken. Now you're a quintet, right? You have more added more people to the band.
Yeah, that's correct. And actually, the one guy that we added, who's also doing vocals on 2 of the new tracks, the singles that are out, we used to listen to his music a long time ago when we were growing up. He was making music. He was already in the city, and we really loved the music he made. And then when we came to the city and we started playing shows, we met him, and we were like, "Wow, this is this guy in the flesh." And then we made really good friends. We recorded some of our music together. The previous 2 albums, he did the recording for that, and then halfway through the recording of The Devil's Cattle, I told him to just join the band. You know, we're having so much fun together. So yeah.
Yeah, and how's the? I'm pretty curious about the music scene in South Africa. We don't get to hear a lot about it. I mean, the only things that I'm familiar with from South Africa are first the film Rodriguez, which was not even a South African artist, but the whole story happens in South Africa. And also there's a band called Cedar, and these other brothers that have a band as well, Congos.
Oh yeah, the Congos, yeah.
And I think Dave Matthews is also South Africa, isn't he?
Yes, Dave Matthews is South African, but he only really started his career when he
moved to
out
the
of
US.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
how's the rock scene in South Africa? Is it like Johannesburg? Is it the place for rock bands, or Cape Town, or both, or none of them? How's it like to have a rock band in South Africa?
We actually have a really cool scene. I wouldn't say it's very big. It's it's popular. It's like an underground thing. It's not massive, but it's really cool. And we have a lot of cool bands, but each city has cool bands, really. Like Pretoria has a cool scene, and Johannesburg and Cape Town. There's another coastal city called Durban. They've got very interesting music coming from there. I'm going to type you some of the names in the chat so you can check some of them out later.
I love it.
We really have a bunch of cool ones, but sometimes maybe the pronunciation might be weird. But yeah, as I'm typing them, I'll tell you. There's a band called Black Math. They're from Durban. Very cool. And also a band called Mouse. And then in Cape Town, we have The Valley and, wait, hold on, Ma'at. In Johannesburg, we have the Tasers. The Tasers are really cool. Actually, at the moment, for the one live stream show that we did, we used the drummer for the Tasers, from the Tasers. He's a really cool guy. Pollinator and Caution Boy. Sorry, I'm just going to write.
It's okay. No, that's pretty useful. We like to know new bands, and I believe you. Do you think that it adds a special flavor or a different spice being from South Africa? Do you have other kind of influences compared to, like we're used to mostly bands from the UK or the US, sometimes Australia, but do you have a lot of influence from local or other languages? You have so many dialects and you speak so many different languages in the country, or the rhythms or stuff like that.
Well, I think I guess a lot of the influence comes from overseas. It depends on it's a bit hard to say, actually. I think the local bands influence each other, but I'm not sure if the different languages really influences what we do. Or at least I wouldn't say so. Not in our case, at least. I think there are bands that it might influence, but not really anything that I've noticed. it's mostly somebody just starts making noise in their garage, you know, and then everybody starts making that same kind of noise. It's a very I don't really know how to explain it.
How about the geographic position of the country? Does it make it harder for you guys? Because I mean, you have to fly. I mean, the country is very large, and the distances. I mean, you can't. If you go from Johannesburg to Cape Town, you need to take a plane, or if you go anywhere else apart, you know, if you go to Europe, it's another really long journey. I don't know if there are other places in the continent that you can tour, like Tanzania or Tanzania or Mozambique or all these places. Do you normally play at these countries?
So, well, first of all, it's a bit hard in South Africa because it is a big country and we don't have really good functioning public transport. So it's hard for us to get around. So usually there's not a big touring circuit. So bands don't usually do a couple of weeks of tour. Rather, they just go to Cape Town and play the area around Cape Town for, let's say, a week, and then they go back home. And then at another stage, they'll go to the other coastal city, Durban, and play. It's not connected. But we're trying to get a circuit going so we can make something like that happen. But as far as other countries bordering South Africa goes, we've never played in any of the other countries, but there's a really cool metal scene in Botswana. Very, very cool. And they're the neighbors right above us. Sorry. If you have the time, you should check it out, actually. The Botswana metal scene, it's very interesting, and there's been lots of stuff written about it, and there's books and stuff, because they look really cool. They have the whole scene looks like it was inspired by the album cover of Ace of Spades by Motorhead. So everyone's just dressed as like cowboys in full black leather. It looks super cool. And I don't know how it happened that they just decided it, and that's what the scene looks like over there. So I'd like to get there someday, but it's, you know, it's a long way to drive, and it's not really I mean, it's not financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it. So we just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, for Europe, it's very expensive for us to go there. But we went there a couple of times, and usually we about break even with the travel costs. But you know, it's all rock and roll.
Yeah, you're not in it for the money. Otherwise, you'll be probably playing, you know, maybe DJing or playing country music or something. Eu perguntei para ele da cena da África do Sul. Ele falou que tem muitas bandas legais. Ele vai deixar aqui os nomes das bandas. Falou do Black Math, do Mouse, do The Valley, do Tasers e muitas bandas legais. E eu perguntei se tem alguma coisa especial no som deles por serem da África, né? Na África do Sul se fala muitos idiomas. Ele falou que sim, por serem da África, mas não por serem por causa dos idiomas, né? Aí perguntei sobre a cena da África do Sul. Ele falou que é difícil fazer turnês na África do Sul por causa das distâncias, né? O país é muito grande e as cidades, as grandes cidades são muito distantes umas das outras, então eles costumam às vezes ir para Cape Town, ficam um tempo fazendo shows na região de Cape Town, ou então vão para Durban e fazem shows na região de Durban, é a mesma coisa em Johannesburg. E eu comentei que a única coisa que a gente conhece da África do Sul de som é uma banda chamada Cedar, uma outra banda chamada Congos, e o Dave Matthews, que nasceu lá, mas que começou a carreira musical dele lá. Mas ele falou que tem muitas bandas legais lá, e tem uma cena muito legal de metal em Botsuana, que inclusive acho que a gente já falou disso no Wikimetal. I think since you mentioned the Botswana, I remember seeing those images and they look pretty cool. I think that I don't know if there's a documentary about it or something like that. I'm not sure, but I've seen those images you said. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so sorry, what's that?
Sorry. No, I was saying, I think there is a documentary, but it's just like a short documentary. But I don't know what the name is, so I wouldn't know where to find it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so about Devil's Cattle, that will be released on the 30th of October. What do you guys think that this album is different from the previous ones? Is that in terms of production, or did you write? You said the band evolved. You're playing better now. what do you expect to achieve with this album that you haven't achieved yet with the previous ones?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it has changed a lot. The essence of Ruff Majik is still there with the, heavy riffs and whatnot, but we've done a lot of new stuff that we have never done before. I've been doing new stuff with my voice, and just the fact that we're 5 people now makes a whole lot of difference by adding in like a piano, or in some songs we have 3 guitars playing at the same time. There's a lot of cool things happen that I really enjoy what's happening. And I don't know, I'm not sure what I want to achieve with the album. I want people to listen to it, so as many people as possible, and that's the main goal. I just want people to listen to it and hopefully enjoy it. But even if they don't enjoy it, I don't care.
And about the audience, not only the bands of the South African scene, do you think that I don't know, we always hear these things in Brazil that rock is dead, or rock has gone old, or the old rock fans became conservative, or right wing people, or all these things that always try to send us a message that rock had become old, and there's fewer kids that are playing instruments, and fewer kids that are into rock. The kids are more into hip hop or other stuff like that. Does that happen in South Africa? Do you get to hear about that in South Africa, or there's a lot of kids that are still playing guitar and putting up a band and stuff?
I mean, I think it's like that in the whole world. Everybody keeps saying that kind of thing, and I think if you believe it, then it's true. But like in the last few years, because I was in the mindset where I was like, rock and roll is old, we're all getting old, this is not working. And then suddenly there were a bunch of new young bands in the scene, and guys that are much younger than I am that just came out of school, and they're playing the kind of music that I like, and they like it. So then I just assumed, it seems like it's alive and well. It's working.
Yeah, I agree. And how about support? Do you get any kind of support from either the audience, the fans in South Africa, or do you get any kind of support from the government, or do you get support, like, do you have to study music at school? What is there a support in general for people to become musicians? Or because I spoke to a Swedish band the other day, and he was telling me how in Europe everybody, or Northern Europe, everybody has to learn an instrument, and that's why there's so many musicians in all kinds of musical genres. I don't know. In Brazil, is exactly the opposite. It's a very poor country, and people think that music is not, a priority, or there's not a lot of investment in arts in general. How's the situation in South Africa? I think we live in kind of similar countries. I've been to South Africa a long time ago, about 10 years ago, and I felt there were a lot of similarities with the social differences, and the mix of different cultures. I don't know if in that situation is also similar.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I mean, from the government side, there's no support for musical endeavors, but I'm not going to go into a chat about the government now, avoiding politics. But also, it's also, it's like you're saying with Brazil, it's a poor country, so not everybody gets into music because it's not seen as a necessity. You need to find a job, make money. That's the idea, and everything else is a waste of time. But if you love music, you love music. Got to play it.
Cool, man. And well, I have to say that I really loved when I was listening to your music today on Spotify. It made me really happy when I saw that São Paulo is one of the main cities for Ruff Majik. So I really think that you guys have a lot of potential here in Brazil.
Yeah, that's great. But I think that's mostly thanks to you guys, because before we started working with you guys, I don't think anybody in Brazil listened to us. I know some people in Mexico were very interested, but this was years ago when we brought out the Fox. There was some interest from Mexican radio stations and so on, but that's the closest we've ever come to, I think, being in South America, I guess, until now. But it would be great to tour Brazil. I think it would be a good time someday.
Yeah, I hope that happens soon. And how's the COVID situation in South Africa? I don't know. I don't have any idea of how things are over there.
Well, right now we're on level 1, which level 1 of lockdown. Our lockdown at 5 levels started with the hard lockdown, and we were stuck inside for a couple of months. And then, oh, sorry, my screen just went off. But yeah, we moved down all the way to level 1 now, and basically that means everything's working as normal, just with limits on the amounts of people that are allowed into certain spaces. And obviously everybody has to wear the mask, you have to sanitize your hands, they have to scan your temperature, that kind of thing. But not everybody does that anyway, so I'm not sure if it's working. But yeah, so we're on level 1. Everything is mostly normal. It's just a bunch of people walking around with masks basically. But I don't know, statistic wise, I know we did go down a lot in the reported cases, but I haven't checked in since we went down to level 1. It's only been about a week, so it might have gone up again, but I don't hope that's the case, because otherwise we're probably going to go back to hard lockdown, which is not fun.
You guys are allowed to do small shows or play live at all?
Yeah, so the shows are pretty much from now that we've gone into level 1. We're allowed more leniency for shows. So now venues can go up to 50% of their capacity. So depending on the size of the venue, that's the amount of people you can have at a show, which is quite nice for open air venues. We're looking at perhaps doing a show on Halloween, where we might join a setup already, and that's on a big outdoor stage, so that could be cool. But yeah, it's still a bit dodgy at the moment. You know, we're not really sure if everything's working, and people are still, I'd say, a bit afraid to go out, which I understand. So yeah, I don't know, we're gonna have to see. We had one show a half ago that we played, and that went really well, but because of the regulations at that time, we could only have 36 people at the show. So the show sold out, but it was only 36 people. But it was cool. It was cool to finally play live again and see some real people listening to the music.
Not the zombies that we see on the last video you released, right? Real people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a killer video, man. I loved it. It's unreal.
It was really hilarious to make. I have to explain to you. So Jimmy, the bassist, the guy with the mohawk, right? He did not laugh once, and I do not understand how he did it, because there's a scene where the zombie lady is, they're making all sorts of sound, and he just straight face. I was laughing the whole day, like every step of the way. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, Lead Pills and Thrills is the last single of this great band, Ruff Majik. We also had before that, Who Keeps Score, and All You Need Is Speed. And you said it's because of our work here, but I think that's first because the band is fucking unreal, and also because Warren, he's a legend, man. He's a really nice guy.
I really hope he's tuned in at the moment, because he forgot to tell me that the interview is at 12 until recently, but that's fine. I don't mind. No, yeah, but I agree. He's a great guy, and he's been helping us out a lot, making things happen. And that's why I'm really happy for the new venture with Mongrel Records, because basically he approached me. I was looking for a new label for the album to put it out, and then I was speaking to him, and I said, well, we need a label. And then he said, well, I'll make a label. And he did.
And also Charles from Just Music, also
Yes.
great guys. The
Charles
first, I mean, we just met them, not met them, but we started getting in touch with them not long ago, and they seem to be really nice people. I really hope we can have these beers together one day soon, and hope you guys can come play live here. We really look forward to that.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, as soon as the world is a bit more normal, we'll try and make that happen. Because actually, about a year ago, I was checking the flight prices, and it's cheaper for us to go to Brazil than it is for us to go to Europe. So it would make sense to do a tour.
I don't know how's the currency situation in South Africa, but when I was there maybe 15 years ago, I remember that it was very reasonable to buy some, spend some money on some great wine. I don't know if it's still cheap over there, but the food was great. I loved the food there, and the wine was fantastic.
Yeah, the wine is one of South Africa's best exports, and it's great for us here because you can get wine for really cheap, and it's always good wine. You have to. It's really hard work to find a bad wine, so that's good living, and especially if you live in Cape Town, then that's the best place for wine in the whole country. But yeah, and as far as food goes, you can get really tasty food. And depending on your diet, if you like meat, we got a lot of meat. That's
ostrich. I love the ostrich anyway. But I remember that was cheaper to buy wine than fruit juice, for example. So I had wine all the time.
Yeah, that's great. It's like the beers in Germany.
Yeah.
To Germany, the beers are cheaper than water. A week into the tour, I'm dehydrated and I don't know what's happening. It's because I've been drinking beer the whole week. So it's the same thing here with the wine.
Well, Johni, thank you so much for having spending your time chatting with us. And sorry to keep you awake. I know you're tired from moving houses. And now our work will be to find a way for you to come and visit us and play some gigs here. We'll love to see Ruff Majik playing live. And on the 30th, we have the Devil's Cattle, Ruff Majik 5th studio album being released, and we're pretty excited about that.
Great, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been having it was a nice chat. So actually, I'm enjoying having the chat because I know when I stop having the chat, I'm going to have to move all these boxes around. But that's fine. But yeah, and then hopefully we get to see each other soon. That would be great.
Yeah, we're looking forward, man. And stay safe. Do use the studio downstairs as much as you can, and we'll be in touch through Warren.
Yes, definitely. Cool, man.
That was Ruff Majik, Johni Holiday, guitarrista e vocalista dessa excelente banda sul-africana Ruff Majik na Wikimetal Happy Hour. Thank you, my friend. See you soon.
Very soon.